For nearly 30 years, fashion followed one rule. Perfection runways were filled with impossibly thin bodies. Sharp cheekbones, symmetrical features, identical faces moving in perfect silence. Beauty was exclusive and untouchable. It belonged to a very small circle. Carefully curated and tightly controlled, designers didn't sell clothes. They sold fantasy. A polished, distant fantasy, one that felt expensive, flawless, and unreachable. And the fantasy had a very specific look. If you didn't fit it, you didn't belong. By the mid-2010s. Cracks began to appear. Social media exposed what runways hid behind the scenes became public. Perfection began to look fragile. Models spoke about exhaustion, about impossible standards, about disappearing behind expectations. Audiences began asking uncomfortable questions. Why did fashion only celebrate one body type, one skin tone, one idea of beauty? Why did everyone on the runway look the same while the world outside didn't? But the industry resisted change, because perfection sold, because fantasy was profitable, until one brand decided to do something risky. The show was held in Milan, inside the Gucci hub. Transformed into something cold, clinical, and unsettling. The space felt surgical, harsh white lights, sterile green tones. A runway that looked more like an operating room than a fashion show. The brand called Gucci. The designer is Alessandro Michele. When the first model walked out, people noticed immediately. This wasn't traditional beauty. Models of different ages, different body types, different faces, some raw, some intense, some left raw and real faces with strong features. Awkward beauty, human beauty. Then came the moment that stunned the room. Models carried replicas of their own heads, lifeless copies. Others walked with visible medical accessories, blurring the line between vulnerability and strength. Some wore clothing that challenged gender entirely, silhouettes without rules, without labels. This wasn't fashion as fantasy, this was fashion as reality. Uncomfortable, honest, impossible to ignore. The audience didn't know how to react. Some applauded immediately, some stayed silent, others shifted in their seats, unsure of what they had just witnessed. Critics called it disturbing, others called it genius, some didn't know what to call it at. All but one thing was clear: the old rules no longer applied. This runway wasn't asking for approval, it wasn't trying to please, it was declaring change. After that show, everything shifted. Other brands followed, casting began to change. Runways slowly started to reflect the real world. Beauty stopped pretending to be unreachable, stopped pretending to be perfect. The era of flawless fantasy fashion quietly ended, and a new era began, one that reflected real people, real bodies, and real identities, not overnight but permanently. Today, fashion still struggles with inclusivity, but it can no longer ignore it. That runway show proved something powerful. Fashion doesn't just follow culture. It shapes it, it challenges it, it confronts it, and sometimes all it takes is one show to change everything.